Hey, welcome to Socialism for All. This file is being recorded for the September 2022 edition of Socialism for All, and it's an audiobook and discussion of Marx to Sigfrid Meyer and August Vogt in New York from 1870. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe and consider supporting on Patreon at patreon.com/socialismforall. You can find a link to the Patreon in the video description. So the source of this piece is Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels' Selected Correspondence, Progress Publishers, 1975, written 9 April 1870, transcribed by Rick Kuhn. So let's get into it. London, April 9, 1870. The day after tomorrow, April 11, I shall send you whatever documents of the International I happen to have on hand. It's too late to mail them today. I shall likewise send more of the Basel reports. The reference here is to the reports of the Basel Congress of the First International, published by the General Council. Among the material sent, you will also find several copies of the resolution of the General Council of November 30 on the Irish amnesty, resolutions which you already know and which were initiated by me, likewise an Irish pamphlet on the treatment of the Fenian convicts. I had intended to submit further motions on the necessary transformation of the present Union, i.e. enslavement of Ireland into a free and equal federation with Great Britain. For the time being, further progress in this matter, as far as public resolutions go, has been suspended because of my enforced absence from the General Council. No other member of it has sufficient knowledge of Irish affairs and adequate prestige with the English members to be able to replace me in this respect. However, time has not been wasted, and I ask you to pay particular attention to the following. After studying the Irish question for many years, I've come to the conclusion that the decisive blow against the English ruling classes, and it will be decisive for the workers' movement all over the world, cannot be delivered in England, but only in Ireland. On January 1st, 1870, the General Council issued a confidential circular drawn up by me in French, for only the French journals, not the German ones, produce important repercussions in England, on the relation of the Irish national struggle to the emancipation of the working class, and therefore on the attitude which the International Association should take towards the Irish question. I shall give you here only quite briefly the salient points. Ireland is the bulwark of the English landed aristocracy. The exploitation of that country is not only one of the main sources of their material wealth, it is their greatest moral strength. They, in fact, represent the domination over Ireland. Ireland is therefore the cardinal means by which the English aristocracy maintain their domination in England itself. If, on the other hand, the English army and police were to be withdrawn from Ireland tomorrow, you would at once have an agrarian revolution in Ireland. But the downfall of the English aristocracy in Ireland implies, and has as a necessary consequence, its downfall in England. And this would provide the preliminary condition for the proletarian revolution in England. The destruction of the English landed aristocracy in Ireland is an infinitely easier operation than in England herself, because in Ireland the land question has been up to now the exclusive form of the social question, because it is a question of existence, of life and death, for the immense majority of the Irish people, and because it is at the same time inseparable from the national question, quite apart from the fact that the Irish character is more passionate and revolutionary than that of the English. As for the English bourgeoisie, it has in the first place a common interest with the English aristocracy in turning Ireland into mere pasture land, which provides the English market with meat and wool at the cheapest possible prices. It is likewise interested in reducing the Irish population by eviction and forcible emigration to such a small number that English capital invested in land leased for farming, can function there with, quote, security. It has the same interest in clearing the estates of Ireland as it had in the clearing of the agricultural districts of England and Scotland. The £6,000 to £10,000 absentee landlord and other Irish revenues which at present flow annually to London have also to be taken into account. But the English bourgeoisie has also much more important interests in the present economy of Ireland, owing to the constantly increasing concentration of leaseholds. Ireland constantly sends her own surplus to the English labor market, and thus forces down wages and lowers the material and moral position of the English working class. And most important of all, every industrial and commercial center in England now possesses a working class divided into two hostile camps, English proletarians and Irish proletarians. The ordinary English worker hates the Irish worker as a competitor who lowers his standard of life. In relation to the Irish worker, he regards himself as a member of the ruling nation, and consequently he becomes a tool of the English aristocrats and capitalists against Ireland, thus strengthening their domination over himself. He cherishes religious, social, and national prejudices against the Irish worker. His attitude towards him is much the same as that of the poor whites to the Negroes in the former slave states of the USA. The Irishman pays him back with interest in his own money. He sees in the English worker both the accomplice and the stupid tool of the English rulers in Ireland. This antagonism is artificially kept alive and intensified by the press, the pulpit, the comic papers, in short, by all the means at the disposal of the ruling classes. This antagonism is the secret of the impotence of the English working class, despite its organization. It is the secret by which the capitalist class maintains its power, and the latter is quite aware of this. But the evil does not stop here. It continues across the ocean. The antagonism between Englishmen and Irishmen is the hidden basis of the conflict between the United States and England. It makes any honest and serious cooperation between the working classes of the two countries impossible. It enables the governments of both countries, whenever they think fit, to break the edge off the social contract by their mutual bullying, and in case of need, by war between the two countries. England, the metropolis of capital, the power which has up to now ruled the world market, is at present the most important country for the workers' revolution, and moreover the only country in which the material conditions for this revolution have reached a certain degree of maturity. It is consequently the most important object of the International Workingmen's Association to hasten the social revolution in England. The sole means of hastening it is to make Ireland independent. Hence, it is the task of the International everywhere to put the conflict between England and Ireland in the foreground, and everywhere to side openly with Ireland. It is the special task of the Central Council in London to make the English workers realize that, for them, the national emancipation of Ireland is not a question of abstract justice or humanitarian sentiment, but the first condition of their own social emancipation. These are roughly the main points of the circular letter, which thus at the same time give the raisons d'etre of the resolutions passed by the Central Council on the Irish amnesty. A little later, I sent a strongly worded anonymous article on the treatment of the Fenians by the English, etc., attacking Gladstone, etc., to the Internationale, organ of our Belgian Central Committee, in Brussels. Footnote, this was the English government and the Fenian prisoners from February 27, 1870. In this article, I have also denounced the French Republicans. The Marseillaise had printed some nonsense on Ireland written here by the wretched Talandier, because in their national egoism, they're saving all their wrath for the empire. That worked. My daughter Jenny wrote a series of articles to the Marseillaise, signing them J. Williams. She had called herself Jenny Williams in her private letter to the editorial board, and published, among other things, O'Donovan Ross's letter. Hence, immense noise. After many years of cynical refusal, Gladstone was thereby finally compelled to agree to a parliamentary inquiry into the treatment of the Fenian prisoners. Jenny is now the regular correspondent on Irish affairs for the Marseillaise. This is naturally to be a secret between us. The British government and press are furious because the Irish question has thus now been placed on the agenda in France, and that these rogues are now being watched and exposed via Paris on the whole continent. We hit another bird with the same stone. We have forced the Irish leaders, journalists, etc. in Dublin to get into contact with us, which the General Council had been unable to achieve previously. You have wide field in America for work along the same lines, a coalition of the German workers with the Irish workers, and of course also with the English and American workers who are prepared to accede to it, is the greatest achievement you could bring about now. This must be done in the name of the International. The social significance of the Irish question must be made clear. Next time, a few remarks dealing particularly with the position of the English workers. Greetings in fraternity, Karl Marx. So there you have it, end of audiobook. Clearly, and this is not the only piece in which Marx wrote about the Irish question and its importance for advancing the conditions for social revolution in England. Yet another reason why Marxists and class-conscious people who do recognize capitalism as the primary contradiction cannot merely look to questions only of class, because other things are tied up within it. We recently, in a live stream, covered statements from members of the Young Patriots organization, which was part of the original Rainbow Coalition in Chicago with the Black Panther Party and the Young Lords. And those were white workers from the South who had moved up to Chicago, who talked about how they came to understand, if they were going to be effective in this coalition, that racism was a demon that had to be slain and driven out. So when Marx talks about, in relation to the Irish worker, the English worker regards himself as a member of the ruling nation, and consequently becomes a tool of the English aristocrats and capitalists against Ireland, thus strengthening their domination over himself. The English worker cherishes religious, social, and national prejudices against the Irish worker. And then Marx draws a clear parallel. His attitude toward the Irish worker is much the same as that of the, quote, poor whites to the Negroes in the former slave states of the USA. And then conversely, the Irish worker sees in the English worker both the accomplice and the stupid tool of the English rulers in Ireland. So in the United States today, I mean, unfortunately, little has changed. And we still have the same basic situation where you have, supposed outreach workers, if you will, hashtag MAGA communism, trying to reach out to right-wingers whose worldview is dominated by white nationalism, racist points of view, etc., who view themselves as part of the, quote, ruling nation in the United States, and at best will try to just deny racism while, in effect, practicing it in every way that they can. The reality, though, is that this is one of the tent pegs of capitalism in the United States, and therefore assisting in imperialism around the world enforced by the United States, and it needs to be addressed as much as anything else, because it is intertwined with class exploitation. All right, what do you think? Leave a question or comment below. We'll continue the discussion in the comment section as usual. Otherwise, thanks for listening, and thanks to the current patrons whose names are on the screen. If you'd like to get your name on the screen, head to patreon.com/socialismforall. You can support for as little as $2 a month or more, whatever you see fit. We don't run ads on the channel, so that support is really important. Every donation is encouraging. They're also materially helpful. I would make videos even if no one contributed. However, it is really helpful, and it allows me to spend more time on it than I would be able to otherwise to get those donations. Beyond that, engagement counts. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, even if it's thanks, good video, or random letters, whatever. And you can actually type the words random letters. That's fine too. All of that engagement helps YouTube to recommend this content to more people. So even if you're not sharing it directly on your social media, which is great to do, but even if you have a small social media account, nobody really reads it, that engagement with the channel will help YouTube indirectly to show it to more people. So that's very helpful as well. Finally, don't forget to get organized and join in the struggle in real life, whether it's a community union, tenant union, labor union, political party, other political organization. That's where this counts. It's good to get educated and agitated through, online memes, audiobooks, videos, whatever it is, but you got to take that into the real world. All right, thanks again, and we'll catch you in the next video.